and I came across it, and it touched me. So I'm going to share it with you guys real quick. And when I first heard this story, it had that song, I am not the only traveler, in the background, so it made it even more emotional. One day, maybe I'll be able to license music, use it as I read these things to tug on the heartstrings even more. But nevertheless, here is the wave. A few years ago, I started running from work to the gym. During that run, I would always see an older gentleman sitting inside his screen porch, so I started waving at him. On my way there and on my way back, if I saw him sitting, I would wave. You'll learn I can struggle with reading sometimes. I stopped working out at lunch for a small period of time, but returned to my usual schedule. Last week when I was running, I didn't see him at all and didn't think really anything of it. But earlier this week, I had noticed visitors and cars there that I haven't seen before. So of course, I thought the worst. Today, as I was running, his wife was outside and she waved at me and waved to me to stop. I took off my earbuds and she said, "Your friend is going to be going soon," as she raised her eyes to the sky. I gave her my condolences as much as I could, but returned to my run. As I ran, I felt an overwhelming feeling to go in and see him. My condolence didn't feel like enough. I was running by the house, and she was out walking around. I said, "Excuse me, is he awake?" She said, "Would you like to see him?" I said, "Of course." With her leading the way, I walked into this woman's home with her husband in his most vulnerable state, about to pass, about to leave his family and this life. Someone I just waved at, never spoke to, and never met. As I walked through the door, it was like I expected. Eyes closed, breathing machine in a peaceful room. He had a neighbor standing beside his bed, and she smiled at me, and I was taken back because it looked like she knew me, but I had no idea who she was. She said, the runner. He has told me all about his friend, the runner." I was choked up a little bit. I asked his wife what his name was. She responded, "Juan." I touched his hand that lay under the white cold sheet. Eyes closed, morphine taking effect. I said, "Hi, Juan. I am your friend, the runner." She tried waking him up, spoke a little in English and Spanish to see if he would respond. Juan didn't respond with words, but he tried opening his eyes. He moved his head slightly to the left and right. I told Juan that I look forward to seeing him each day as I ran by for the past few years. I said I would pray for him and his family. He moaned and moved his head. I finished my visit by telling him I would continue to wave no matter what. I thanked her and walked out. As I was walking out, the neighbor was in the living room, and she said that Juan always talked about me all the time, the runner, his friend. When he was sick, then got better, and he couldn't be out on the porch, he wanted to be by the window to wait for me as I ran by so he could wave. I remember a few weeks ago when I looked to the porch and didn't see him, I turned to continue running, but something caught my eye. He was waving through an open window. I waved back and remembered smiling the whole way back to the office. I am sharing because all it took was a decision to wave, to be nice, make someone smile. I never knew my wave made him feel the way he felt. Sometimes a wave is enough. As I'm reading that, for whatever reason, that one just always touches me because it's so simple. The wave. And I think so many times we get caught up. We think we have to be this big person. We have to make all this money. We have to have all these friends. We have to do all these things and have all these experiences in order for us to live a life that could mean something. When in reality, all it truly does take is a wave. And I think that's something that I know I'm guilty of, but probably the whole society as a whole, we don't wave to each other anymore. We don't smile at each other when we walk past. It's the weirdest thing, but it's all those small things that do make the biggest difference. I'm definitely going to challenge myself to wave more, to smile more to strangers, to do these small things that hopefully have an impact that we don't know could even touch, and to tie it back to that bits and pieces. Like this story in the wave, he was just a small part, a small bit, a small piece of that person's life, because all he was doing was waving on his run by, but it affected the whole latter part of his life and his family, and gave that guy a reason to keep showing up to that window when he couldn't go outside and he was in his bed. It gave him a reason to keep showing up, and that's what I hope we can all do, is give each other reasons to keep showing up, to keep making it to midnight. So thank you for listening to this first episode.